Hey y'all. Okay, well, it was put to a vote. I asked you guys whether you wanted to go to Santa Anita or Gulfstream, and those of you who did get back to me asked for Gulfstream. So here we go. We've got an all stakes pick five on Fountain of Youth Day, and that'll be the anchor, the featured race. But we're going to start with the first leg, which is the very one. It's a Grade 3, 10th race on the card, running a mile and 3/8 on the turf for 4-year-olds and up, fillies and mares. And there's quite a few coming back from the race prior to the 26th, and I think that's probably the controlling race. Now, did a little digging because Gulfstream, generally is speed favoring on the turf, and this last week it's been extremely speed favoring. Horses are winning at a 57% clip, wiring the field, and also doing it from the post positions most favorable are right about in the middle. So you look at that, and what Love looks pretty darn good. Uh, I'm guessing that she's going to go to the lead. You got Johnny V in the irons for Todd Pletcher. I didn't mind the race last time. I thought it was a pretty good effort, just wasn't quite good enough. And, building off of that with a favorable track, I think that puts what Love looks like in a pretty good position. I think this is a pretty deep race, and it's pretty well balanced. Going to throw Be My Sunshine in there. Didn't like her last one too much. It was pretty flat, just sort of ran around the track. But Safi Joseph is 24%, third time off the layoff. This one's never been this far before, but it's not to say that she can't handle it. And Safi's going really well right now. It's a good sign. I think they put Edgar Zayas on this horse the last time they did. She won. So I think those are all positives. You might get a decent enough price. I still don't have odds yet as of Thursday when I'm recording this. So that's why you don't see them. Immensitude for Bill Mott. He's been stepping this one up and now is settled on grade 3. He's been running in grade 3s the last two. This one takes a little while to get going. I think that's the issue I have with Immensitude more than anything else. Again, as I always say, Bill Mott on a big stakes day you never want to overlook. But I'm just kind of worried this one has a little too much to do late and is coming off a layoff. And more often than not, Bill Mott horses kind of need one going in. I'm also guessing the price might be a little prohibitive, but one I think can likely get underneath in the exotics for sure. Just a little tentative about thinking about the win. Forever After All is certainly in excellent form. You can't deny it. They got the trip last time from the outside and was able to get up. Is down on the rail this time, and that's a little troubling. Perhaps with all these late runners. I like when I look at closes on turf, and especially, I love to see it when there's only like one or two, and now you've got five. So from the rail, you're going to have to work out a trip for sure. But as one of the players for sure. I threw Beach Bomb in here because she didn't run bad in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. Is coming off a layoff. Graham Motion's barn isn't going terribly well right now, and he does have a couple in here, neither of which are when his barn's not going well, it's not going well. Let's put it that way. And he's not a trainer that generally his horses fire off the bench either. But I do like the progression with this one since coming over from South Africa. And, could surprise at a price. So, Beach Bomb, maybe one if you want to throw in a bomb to upset the apple cart. And this is the kind of race that I could certainly see it happening. Beach Bomb, maybe one you want to think about. And then La Mejana, I really like in this spot for a couple of reasons. Primarily, the thing with La Mejana is when she gets to the inside, she seems to have trouble getting free, and I don't know how much tactical speed she has in order to make her trip. Now you got her on the outside where she's going to have good room, and it's kind of the reversal of the last race where Forever After All was on the outside and able to get free, and now it's La Mejana. So La Mejana, I think clearly is one of the better horses in here, and with Dylan Davis in the irons, keeping her free on the outside, I think is a really good thing. So I really like La Mejana a lot, but we're going to go with what Love looks like due to the way the track's playing in particular. But Forever After All, La Mejana, and if you want to throw in Beach Bomb to spread a little bit more, I wouldn't blame you at all. But it's a pretty well balanced and should be a hotly contested very one. So let's take a look at the next race. Second leg of the All Stakes Pick 5 is the Gulfstream Park Mile, a Grade 2, 11th race on the card, run at a mile for 4-year-olds and up, and this is a one-turn mile with a fairly significant chute. Always want to remember that at Gulfstream. We take a look, and of course, the big name here is the return of Mindframe, who was so precocious and dueling Dornoch for a couple of races, and this one showed certainly a hell of a lot of promise moving into now his 4th year. However, he has not run since July, and honestly, there is a gap in his training about 3 works back, and so I think just got a sneaky suspicion that Mindframe's going to need one. This horse could win this race without a doubt on talent alone, but I just have a feeling it might be a little rusty, and we'll just see if. But this isn't the greatest field, and anybody who wants to back Mindframe, I can certainly see it. But Encino has a race under his belt, and I liked Encino a lot last year. It just was a really sweet horse, and was really looking at him for the Preakness, as I recall, and he scratched out of it. But he's come back at 4, got an optional claimer win. That's a logical tune-up for this race, and has been winning up near the front end, and that is a good place to be at Gulfstream. I don't think he's going to get a lot of pressure that he's got to worry about from Counter Spy. Really, the only one I could see who would put significant pressure on, of course, is Mindframe. But this, to me, looks like very simply a 2-horse race. And I'm just going to give the edge to Encino because he's got a race under his belt. And I think it's logical that he moves forward here, and he's got a track that's favorable to him, and we know he can do 2 turns, no problem. Moving back to 1, I don't think that's an issue at all. Just a couple of round out to think about for underneath. There's certainly going to be opportunities to have horses at fat odds come underneath. Shaq the Diesel is one that's a horse for the course, and I got him confused with. There's a horse named Shaq Diesel in Europe who won a sprint at Royal Ascot a couple years ago, and my eyes lit up initially. I figured out, it's a different one. I think this one runs well enough that on a favorable track to him, a favorable scenario. So I think he can get up underneath at a price. Steel Sunshine, of course, this is down in distance for him. Gulfstream Park, 1-turn mile is exactly all he likes. Problem is he's a closer, and it doesn't necessarily favor them, and I don't see where anybody's going to go really bonkers on the front end to help him. But absolutely a horse that you can use underneath. Price will be a little lower than we'd like, but if you want to do just that cold 137 try or 317, yeah, he's the horse to do it for sure. And then Secret Chat, another one, running late, suck up for 3rd or 4th. But that's the extent of it. It's a pretty short conversation here. It's really who do you like? It's, as Pete Aiello likes to say, you either have Mindframe or Encino, and I'm just going to give a little bit of an edge to Encino because he's got a race under his belt, a little more race fit. The third leg of the All Stakes Pick 5 is the Honey Fox. It's a Grade 3, 12th race on the card, run at a mile on the turf for 4-year-olds and up, fillies and mares. Really good field, really good betting race, I think. You've got quite a few in here who are either they're coming off the bench and making their debut at 4. You've also got quite a few in here who are horses for the course. ones that really down in distance, it's a perfect scenario for, and they're all very well balanced. So it's a really, I mean, it's definitely a spread race in my opinion. Looking at them, toyed with the idea of in our time, but especially with the speed favoring and the favorable post, where as I mentioned, that's the way the turf's been playing about mid pack or mid gate and early speed. But in our time, we had a really big one in the last race, in the Pegasus, I believe it was, and I've noticed in the last three starts has been getting progressively further back. 1, 2, 3, you get the idea. So it's a little bit of a regression, particularly after running a huge race like that. So I'm not going to use in our time. But See You Around, I think, is one that's interesting. This one debuted at 4 with a career high Brisnet figure, which you always like to see. Was in her last race, I thought was competitive and was right there. Just wasn't good enough. But first off the bench, that's encouraging. And with another move forward, I think this one could be dangerous in here, and you're likely to get a price given the depth of this field. So I think See You Around is definitely one you want to think about. I settled on Pounce. Pounce is a horse for the course, loves Gulfstream, loves a mile. And in her last race, I didn't think ran badly. Was a little overmatched, I think. But is in a good position, being in right around the 9 hole, a little to the outside, and tactically, I think should be able to get into a good position, and should if provided she takes a move forward, tactically being in a good position with a front runner who's a little dubious, I think, and a couple of them, Sister Luann, Infinite Diamond, I don't expect to factor terribly much. So I think Pounce has a lot of things going for her, and that's who I'm going to pick. Poolside with Slim is another one who likes the track, likes the distance, and provided takes a move forward at 4 years old, could be dangerous in here. Not quite as keen on her as I am as some of the others. I don't know how much more there is to go with Poolside Slim, but is one to certainly think about in here. Ozara is another one that is a horse for the course and the distance, and has been very effective at Gulfstream, and I think is one that you certainly can use in the mix too. I don't know if I see quite as much upside as I do with Pounce, and that's really the only thing, but it's certainly one that can win this, and one that I think you have to use. Life's an Audible. I think there's no reason to believe that this one won't run a good race. The question I have more than anything else is the distance. I think it might be a little short for Life's an Audible, so I think the track is kind of against you here, but I think certainly one that can factor in this race, but I think is more likely for under. You certainly can't have a turf race at Gulfstream without Chad Brown, and you've got one with tax implications here. This is another one that I think ran pretty well, debuting at 4, and I think can certainly factor in this race. But again, the little issue about the track being against her to a degree, but I still think is one that can factor in this race. So. We will go with Pounce, but I think this is a very wide open race to be sure, and one that I think you certainly have to spread in. But and there's certainly a lot of options. We'll just see which newly minted 4-year-old can take the biggest step forward in the Honey Fox. The fourth leg of the All Stakes Pick 5 is the featured race. It is the Fountain of Youth, a Grade 2, 13th race on the card, run at 1 mile and a 16th for the 3-year-olds. And we do have an individual posting on this race if you'd like further analysis, a little more in-depth look at the race. But taking a look at it, the first thing you have to look at, of course, is how much early speed there might be in this race. And Neo Equos, I think, is a little overmatched, but likely will get to the lead, and I don't expect to be there late. Gate to Wire has been primarily a turf horse, but in the Swale ran a big race on the first on dirt, and certainly has two-turn pedigree. But I thought that was a little pace assisted, and I just wasn't as excited about that race. Now, you're probably going to get a price here, but going around two turns for the first time, it makes me a little reticent to include, and I think it's going to be kind of a wise guy horse. It may surprise, but I'm going to let go. Burnham Square is my horse, the one to win. I love this horse. I do. That Holy Bull was just such a fantastic race. The fact that they took this horse back all the way to the rear and still had enough to circle the field and get up in time. This is, to me, if this horse can take another move forward, you've got a serious Derby contender, and I think should be in good position from the 3-hole, and then it'll be, and I think with the two-turn bottom that this one's built up, I think is very dangerous in this spot. Now, you've got a couple of contenders that we're all going to be looking at. River Thames, of course. Again, Thames, not Thames, Thames. Sorry, I'm a stickler. River Thames has been pretty impressive so far. The last race was a one-turn mile, though. Let's remember that. And this one has double sprint pedigree. Now, on class alone, I think this horse can probably stay in the mix here. But when the rubber meets the road, I think we have to go with the two-turn horses who have that bottom, and also ones more with the pedigree for two turns. So River Thames, I think, will certainly be up and around the leaders. I don't know that it will be on the lead because he has been rating so far. But I just think, when you start stepping up in class, this is where the deficiencies really stand out. And I think pedigree is really a big minus for River Thames. So in the mix, can probably stick around. Can run a little longer at Gulfstream. There's no question about that. But so can the others that are more prominent in here. So River Thames, to me, kind of down on, but I think can hang around for the money. Keep It Easy, to me, is very interesting for Dale Romans. This one has two-turn pedigree. I've really liked what I've seen. There have been a couple races when this one has really shown some nice talent. Has been hit or miss, that's true. But you're going to get a price on this one. And I think we'll be up around the leaders, and then it'll be just a question of if he's good enough. But Keep It Easy, I think, is a sleeper in this race, and one you certainly want to include. Sovereignty is a horse that I really like, but there's a couple of things that worked out I just don't like at all. There's gaps in it, and for Bill Mott, he tends to the first race off a layoff isn't necessarily the best time you want a Bill Mott. This horse has talent. This horse has class. Two turns all day long. There's a lot of things to like, but I think this horse may need one. And so I'm a little skittish about going on top with Sovereignty, and I'm probably going to go against in that respect, just because I think the next race is when you want Sovereignty. Going to throw McKellen in as kind of a sleeper underneath. This horse is very green, but does have some talent and has two-turn pedigree. Probably not going to be up around the leaders, and just to throw in as sort of a suck-up for third, maybe to spice up the trifecta. But that's the extent of it. So Burnham Square, to me, I just really like this horse, and it has been progressing with every single start. And I just think is a really solid pick to win the Fountain of Youth. The final leg in the All-Stakes Pick 5 is the Diarmida. It's a Grade 2, 14th race on the card, run at 1 3/8 on the turf, 3 turns for 4-year-olds and up. And this is another one. I'll tell you, these turf races are really tough. There's a lot of ways to go here. So when I see a field that's fairly well balanced, all I'm looking for is class and upside and just potential progression. Miss the Cut is coming back from Royal Ascot. Draw a line through that. Probably just too much for the horse. But the prior form in the States is pretty good. And I think potentially, if this one can revert back to old form, is very dangerous in here. And I think you absolutely have to include. We'll see about the long layup. That's really the only big question. But I think Miss the Cut belongs here for sure. Segoy from Mike Maker. I know Capture the Flag is the only listed front runner in here. I'm not so sure that he is going to get the lead, and I really didn't see enough for Todd Pletcher to get me terribly excited about him. I think Segoy is more likely to get the lead. This is a horse who likes to run up near the lead. Mike Maker is great with stretching horses out, and I think this one has a great potential to wire the field. I think it's a little bit of class relief than some of the other prior efforts, and I think it should meet Segoy right between the eyes. So Segoy one I think you have to use. I really like Kalik. This was a horse that really made a mark at Saratoga, won 3 straight to start his career, and then sort of fell off the table. And, had kind of a weird journey for Chad Brown, was up and down. And now is with Jose D'Angelo. And this one always had talent. But something happened along the way. God knows what it is. But I'll tell you, the last race, I really liked what I saw from Kalik. And I think maybe signaled this horse is ready to take a move forward and get back on 2 feet and be the kind of horse we thought he was going to be. He closed like a freight train in the stretch. He was on the rail, was a little boxed in, but I really liked what I saw. Just big time acceleration. And I think that maybe is a harbinger. So at a price, I really like Kalik in a race like this because again, he's showing signs of progression and moving forward. Grand Sonata at a 1.5 is probably a better distance for him. Has enough back class and has enough efforts in the past to be a contender here. He just always seems to disappoint. That's the thing about him. He's a real hard horse to trust, in my opinion. And I kind of throw him on there more for a horse I'd use underneath in the exotics. I just have a hard time trusting a horse like Grand Sonata on top in a race like this. But he does have the potential to win it, and if you want to include him, I can understand it. Dashman really kind of came out of nowhere for me in the last one. You had some of the chalkier horses in the race didn't fire, but Dashman really was explosive in the stretch. And when you do that coming off the bench at 4, that's usually a pretty good signal that you're ready to move forward and mark your place as one of the leaders in the turf division. So I'm going to take that race and say it's just a building block and that Dashman's ready to move forward. Obviously, the 12 hole didn't bother him last time because he won from it, so I'm not going to worry about it here. So I'm going to take Dashman as well. The 7 Kalik and Dashman, the 12, to me, would be the prime win candidates for the Diarmida. So we take a look at our ticket, and we'll see in race 10, which I think is another spread race, and you could easily go 5 deep in that one. The 4 and the 5 are 2 others that I would consider throwing in the mix, but I've limited it to 1, 6, and 8 as, to me, the most viable options in that race. Gulfstream Park Mile, we're going to kind of buck the trend to go with Mindframe and go with Encino. Encino's got a race under him, looks ready to run another good race. Mindframe's been off an awful long time. That's really the only issue, and the price will be a little short for a horse coming back after that long layup. So we'll go with Encino. We want to keep our ticket economical because we've got a spread in the turf races. In leg 3, race 12, we're going to go with 1, 2, 6, and 9. And then in the Fountain of Youth, I love Burnham Square in this spot, particularly with Sovereignty coming off the bench with the sparse work tab. But if anybody's going to beat him, I really like Keep It Easy. I think this horse has 2-turn pedigree, has shown signs that this one's really got some talent. And if he can get a good trip, if anybody's going to upset Burnham Square. I really like Keep It Easy, and you know you're going to get a price. So we'll throw him in as well. And then finally in the McDiarmida, another spread race. We're going to go 4, 7, 8, and 12. I think 7 and 12 to me are the primary choices. But this is another one. You could easily go 5 or 6 deep. But we've got to have an economical ticket. If we can get Encino home in the Gulfstream Park Mile, I think we're looking pretty good from there. So that's 3 times 4 is 12, times 2 is 24, times 4 is $96 ticket on a $1 base. And I hope our analysis helps you with your own wagering strategy. I wish you the best of luck as always. We are going to have another video since there's so many stakes races at Gulfstream on Saturday. We're going to have another video covering the Devona Dale and also providing our best bets and value plays for the entire card. So be on the lookout for that. If you do like content like this, please, of course, like and subscribe. Thanks to all of you who have come on board. Going to try to get a couple postings out for Santa Anita, time permitting. The big cap is on Saturday, and the St. Inez as well, or St. Isabel, I believe, which is an Oaks prep. And we want to stay up with that. So there'll be some more content, hopefully prior to Saturday. So stay tuned for that. That's it from here. I'll talk to you soon. And until then, be well.